Hello and welcome everyone back to another Dwarf Fortress episode. In this episode I think we are going to let the dwarfs finish out the farming area and also start building a little bit on the downstairs dining hall. But for now we'll just have to let the dwarfs do a little bit of work. Okay. While they're doing that I'm going to have a look. Okay, good. The wagon has apparently been disassembled. That is good news. What can I do in the meantime as the dwarves are working? Well, I can start preparing for having to live underground, so I think it is a good time to maybe build a mason's workshop so that I can start using all the wood or stone rather that I am accumulating. And I think I'm going to put it indoors. B for building, workshops, W, and then I think masons is M. That it is. I'm going to place it in this room over here. There's really not anything weird about placing these buildings. However, you should be careful. If you're like me and you're going to create these sort of 3x3 rooms in which you will then place your workshops, you will have to make sure that these squares here that are a little bit more darker, they actually block travel. Now, dwarfs can walk diagonally like this. However, they can not walk if there are 3 of these dark colors here. They would not be able to mark through. So, for instance, if I were to place this here and this one was darker, the dwarf would not be able to walk through here. This has happened a few times and made me trap a few dwarves inside of a workshop where they then starved to death, and that was maybe not so good. So yes, that's a thing to keep in mind. I'm going to place it down, build it out of limestone, why not? I'm also going to move this carpentry workshop a bit indoors because I don't like having it there. There we go. It's going to build it there out of pine logs, why not? So, okay, so also another building I'm going to want sooner rather than later is a mechanics workshop. So that's B again, W, and I think T for mechanics. Sure, because why wouldn't it be? I'm going to place it here alongside pear wood log, sounds fine. And what does a mechanics workshop do then? Well, they make rocks. Oh, I think that's a bit too loud. What you're seeing here is another mod for Dwarf Fortress. It's basically a sound mod, adding these nice little rain and other types of sounds when something happens. Just a little bit of an announcer, maybe you could call it. I just like having it there. It's nice. Okay, so they are designed, or rather, now they are. Okay, so I'm going to click Q again and have a look at the mechanics workshop. So what can we do here? Well, we can add tasks, and we can add rock mechanisms and traction benches. So I'm going to add a bunch of mechanisms. And here at the carpentry, I think I am going to make... where are they? Bins, yes, bins are awesome, because they can be used to store different types of things, like maybe crutches, maybe cloth, all of these things that don't fit in a barrel. So basically all non-food items can be placed into bins. Rock, gems, bars, metal bars, so on. All of these things. It's nice to have them. Or at least I like having a lot of lots of bins, because then I can more or less organize my things into them, and then I can just tell the dwarves to haul a bin over here to the trade depot when I need to trade something, and I will get the whole selection of what's inside the bin, not just in any individual items that they are bringing. So that's a nice little trick, if you want to call it that. Okay, I'm also going to have to make beds, and I think barrels will be nice. Okay, so they will be doing that on repeat, and as they are doing them, they will accumulate a few barrels and bins and beds, and we will have a nice little surplus of them. Okay, here at Masons, I will start actually creating some thrones. This is basically just chairs, but because they are made of stone, they are called thrones and not chairs, because of course they are. The same is true with mugs and jugs, I believe that, or cups maybe. I believe that the stone ones are called jugs, and the wood ones are called cups or something along those lines. So basically it's the same thing, but they are named differently because they are made of different materials. Okay, I'm also going to make doors because I think they are very handy and we're going to need a lot of them. I'm going to make cabinets because they will need some place to store the things. A coffin. No wait, not coffin. Yeah, coffin actually. Is it coffin? No, coffer. That's what I want. I can get a little bit confused there. Then we can make statues later on. I don't think we need... Oh, tables, of course we need tables, so they can have some place to eat. So, we're going to make that. They're going to repeat those and make as many as they can whenever they have time. I think if you look at Dwarf Therapist that we have one dwarf set to masonry, so hopefully there will come another few dwarves later that are able to do masonry work. Anything else? Yes, I'm going to start setting up defenses. Also, this is in tandem with what I said about the mechanics workshop. So if I'm going to build, for instance, this thing, I press B for building, and then I'm just going to have to find it because I remember it. It is as much as... where is it? Can't find it. Is it going to be... no, it's just this. Where is it? There, bridge, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so going to have a look. Okay, there's an overhang, that's good. So I'm going to make a bridge more or less. 5 long, sure, why not? Like that. So what this is going to do is basically I'm going to build a bridge that I can then later, whenever I want to retract or rather raise and seal off my fortress. So I'm making this long, because then I can seal it off and maybe have a moat of some description there. I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger, like that. So then I can have a moat in there and maybe put lava or water in later, so I can be really, really protected. And or have some other nasty things down there which they can fall down onto. But for now we are going to just build the bridge. Whenever you build the bridge, there are a few things you need to pay attention to. For instance, this row here is important because this is the row where it's going to raise up to. So there are a few different options when you are making a bridge. You can either have it retract, meaning it just disappears completely. You can have it raise in any of the 4 directions really. But I'm going to have this one raise up like this, meaning that it will block off any entrance or entrance attempts. You can have it block up this way or one of the sideways, really however you prefer. I prefer just having it lock down the fortress. So I'm going to place that and I'm going to make it out of limestone. Why not? I just prefer the look of stone rather than wood because I think the white is nicer, prettier. It doesn't matter. Enemies can't really destroy these bridges. At least they shouldn't be able to at the current release, unless I missed a patch note somewhere. So they're going to build that. It's going to take a while, but after that we'll be able to seal ourselves off. Yes, the mechanisms. So if you use a mechanism, you can build a lever. There's fighting somewhere, isn't there? No? Okay. So you can use the mechanisms to create a lever somewhere, maybe down in your dining room, so that it's close by. And then you can use 2 mechanisms and link up the lever to this bridge, and then you can have a dwarf go and pull the lever and the bridge will retract in the way you have designated it to, thus sealing the fortress. Okay, so now we can also see, okay, the farm plots are done. That is nice, so we're going to have a look at them. Okay, so we go to this one first. Oh, hello, what is this? Why does it show like that? Oh, does this count as outside for some reason? Why does this count as outside? That's weird. Open space, oh my god. That is not good. We don't want open spaces. That's good that they noticed that. So I'm going to build a floor. Because I do not want any animals coming through here. I'm going to make a floor out of blueberry wood log. That's fine. That's unfortunate. I think I chopped down a tree. I did not know they would leave a hole in the floor, ground. That's interesting. Okay, so basically what we can see from this is that if you build your farm plot outside, or rather just have open space above it, you will be able to plant so-called outside crops, and if you're building them inside, you have access to a much smaller amount of crops. In this instance, you have access to 4 instead of a ridiculous amount of crops. But as you can see here, it is quite enough, really, if you... Let's see, there's it is, okay. So it's enough if one tile of the farm plot is in open air, or rather has open air above it. Like you can see, it had been dug out by mistake up above it. So that is enough to make this tile be considered inside, or rather light and above ground instead of dark and subterranean. After we build the floor above it, again, to seal it off, it will no longer be considered above ground, but it will still be considered light, meaning that you can grow outside crops indoors. If you just dig out a hole in the roof, let it shine onto the farm plots, and then immediately put a floor down, and it is considered light, and you can grow outside crops in there. It's a nice little trick. If you want access to more variety, you can do that. So that's interesting. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so why not just make some celery? That sounds fun. Ooh, this is nice. So you can click Shift Enter to make all seasons do this. Otherwise, you would have to cycle through them by going A, B, C, and D, and do that individually. Okay, that did apparently not work. Why did that not work? That's weird. Okay, so if I choose celery and then click Shift, no, rather this. Apparently that does not work. Interesting. Okay. Well, anyways, this has now been designated to grow celery. And the farmers will come here, plant the seeds, let it grow, and then they will harvest it when it has grown to fullness. And you can, as you saw there, each season plant a different thing. It does not matter if you put it into fallow or if you plant different things, it will still grow at a steady pace. It's not like real farms where you would prefer to leave a field in fallow for maybe a year or half a year or something like that. You can just keep on growing and it will never stop. However, you can fertilize it, and if you do, it will grow slightly faster. And that's what I said in the last episode, that fertilizer is needed for every 4 spaces of farm plot. So in this case I would actually just need 2, because it's 7 tall. If I build one extra tile to 8, I would need 3, sorry. So really it is beneficial to you to use the formula that you take 1 of any 4 multiples, because then you will save 1 fertilizer every season. Maybe not a big deal, but if you care about it, yeah, there you go. Okay, so here I think plump helmets is good. We are going to just grow plump helmets here. Plump helmets is basically berries, I would say, that they eat, and you can eat them raw, and it provides them with some sort of food. I'm actually going to make 2 farms, just grow plump helmets, because I think it's easy enough to do, and they have something to eat, and you can even make it into beer, or rather an alcohol. There's a nice graph from the Dwarf Fortress Wikia that I don't have currently, but there you can see all the different crops that you can make and what you can do with them, so it's really nice if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of trying to maximize your production and growth. Okay. Here we are going to create some dimple cups, I think, which is no, actually we're going to make cave wheat as well. Cave wheat, those, and then dimple cups. So dimple cups I think they can eat, and cave wheat can be then made into flour and made into bread if you want to. And here, quarry bushes, why not? Then I'm actually going to make pigtails, and pigtails is good for the reason that it can be used to create clothes and cloth and all these things. Let you create well, basically a tailoring industry, and let the dwarves get better proper dressed and so on. So that's nice to have. Now they're actually going to start planting already. That is phenomenal. Okay, so while they're doing that and building the bridge, we're going to go down and see how it's doing. Okay, they have dug out quite a lot already. Now, personally, I just prefer not to have to see all of these rocks. I just think it doesn't look pretty. So, what you can do is you can go D, B, and H for hide. And I'm just going to hide all of these things. All of these rocks, rather. And this really does nothing to them. It just hides them from my view. The dwarves will still be able to pick them up, get slowed by them, and all other sorts of fun things. Which is why you might want to spend some dwarven labor to haul them away. I'm not going to do it now because it takes forever to have them do that. Oops, that's not what I meant to hide. Like so? Okay, good. So, there's some gold I think they found. I think that was gold. Yes, that is gold. That is phenomenal. We have gold, we can make something nice out of it, which we can then sell for a big profit. That's awesome. Also, there's some hideousness here. I just prefer not to see it. It's really... it matters in no way to the game. I just prefer not having to look at them, because I think it looks ugly. Okay. So... they're digging out the dining hall. Oh, there's apparently soil down here still. That's unfortunate. I would have preferred it not to be, because I like having it complete and solid stone. But whatever, we'll make our peace with it. At least it's quick to mine. Okay, so we have now passed into summer. So, one other thing you can do with these rocks, if you don't want them littered all around your fortress, is you can actually do sort of a little trick and pile them all up in one space. It's sort of a trick, and I'll show it to you at some point. Maybe I can actually show it now as soon as it has finished loading, just so you get an idea of what you're able to do. If you want to gather everything into one single tile and save it there. So what you would do in that case is you go to I to make a zone. You will make a zone here, for instance. Click zone, and then you will make a garbage dump for D there. It will be placed. There we go. So now it's there. It's now considered a garbage dump. So what you would do then is you would go to D, B, and D for dump items. DB just brings you here, it's for designations. Then you go to B, which is set building and item properties, and then you can click D for dump. You can click all the items you want. Let's take these 3 here. And then the dwarves will come pick them up and bring them to the nearest garbage dump zone. This causes all the items to stockpile in a single space, meaning that you can store a lot of things in there. Now this could be beneficial if you have very little space for some reason, or you prefer to not be scattered all over several rooms. Completely fine to do it, and I just prefer to do it with stones and not really anything else, because then I don't have really that big of a control, or easy to see what's in a specific place. For instance, you can imagine if you have over 100 items in a single tile, it can get a bit complicated to find if you want to find a specific item from there. Let's just put it that way. So I prefer to not use them for that. You can if you do want to, but I just don't. Okay, so that is unfortunate that we have soil. I would have preferred us not to have that, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so they have also done that. Is that dug out yet? No, it is not, I believe. Wait, is it? No, it is not. Why can't I dig it out? Is it already designated to be dug out? Yes, it is. Okay, fine. I'm also going to create a bit more stockpile. I'm just going to have a look. Is the right one? Yes, good. going to expand it a bit. Technically it's two different stockpiles, but no difference. And there's things growing. Nice, nice, nice. Everything's working brilliantly, more or less. It's good. Okay, for now I am going to leave this space open here. At some point I am going to wall it off, just because I don't want people running directly down into my dining hall. Okay, well, this has been a good start, I think. We have gotten all of our farms growing, and we have started building a little bit more of our city down in the deeps. So I am going to put a cut in here, and then I'm going to come back and we are going to maybe finish the dining hall and other fun things. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Dwarf Fortress, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.